Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Empowered Woman Speaker Series. I am your host, Erin Summ. I'm super excited for everyone to be here today. Um, this series is for you if you're ready to believe in yourself more, to know your worth, and feel confident in yourself and what you offer to the world. Very excited to be here today. So, just so you all know, we're going to be here for 90 minutes. We're going to be inspired, empowered, uplifted, and we're going to transform those limiting beliefs and fears into new beliefs. We're going to take you to the next level in your life, your business, um, your love life, all those things. So, we have some incredible speakers today. We're going to move fairly quickly through all of them because we only have a very short amount of time to get through all the speakers, and we want to make sure that everyone gets their time. So all speakers will be speaking 20 minutes, and we're going to go from one into the next one. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat section. If you're on Facebook Live, you can type them into the comments there. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can absolutely type them into the chat, and the speakers will answer after they are done speaking. So I just want to go through the lineup really quickly. We have Kim McLaughlin. She's going to be talking about how to stop the holiday madness, 3 secrets to peace with food. I love hearing Kim talk about this. It's a really great topic for the holiday season. Michelle Walters will be talking about how hypnosis will help you with weight management. Also a great topic for the holiday season. I will be talking about how to be bold for your best year ever, reaching your 2025 vision. And Jennifer Anderson will be talking about boundaries for you. And I typed in her topic. So she is creating blissful boundaries for the holidays. So that is also a really great topic. We all need boundaries all the time, but during the holidays, especially, can be very challenging. So boundaries are a very good thing to have during the holidays. So we are live on Zoom and on Facebook Live. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the share button so that you can spread the word, so we can inspire and empower as many women as possible today and in the future. The replay will be up forever, so you can watch whenever you'd like. So please, if you are on Facebook watching, if you hit the share button so as many people can watch as possible. And Lana, if you could go ahead and pop those links into the chat, that would be great. So if you are on Perfect. Thank you. If you are on Zoom and you have a Facebook and you would like to share, I would love it if you would share there too. So you can go ahead and go to the link in the chat for the facebook.com facebook.com/Erin.Summ. You can go to that link and that will take you to the Facebook Live. If you could share that, that would be awesome. We want to inspire and empower as many people as possible today. And if you aren't a part of the Facebook community, the Confident Woman community on Facebook, go to the link in the chat, the Confident Woman community link, and you can join us there as well. I would love to have you. Okay, without further ado, I'd love to introduce to you our very first speaker, Kim McLaughlin. She'll be talking about how to stop the holiday madness, 3 secrets to peace with food. And Kim is a MA, and she's a psychotherapist, a coach, and a speaker, and a best-selling author and podcaster. She helps people move from struggling with food, weight, and dieting to feel peaceful with food. You can listen to her podcast, Feed Your Soul with Kim, on your favorite podcast platform. She's the best-selling author of the book Feed Your Soul, Nourish Your Life, a 6-step system to peace with food. And you can receive her free Am I an emotional eater quiz on her website at feedyoursoulunlimited.com. And I'll pop that link in the chat as well. So Kim, go ahead. We would love to have you. I'm going to put you on a speaker.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share. So like here I go. I do like I do like me a good PowerPoint. So there you go. So we're going to do it like this from the beginning. Yes. There we go. I got it. Oh, I'm very happy with myself. I had this necklace, just so you know, I had this necklace on and I took it off because I move my hands a lot. And so there will be a lot of tinkling if I don't do that. So, welcome everyone. Today we're talking about Stop the Holiday Madness Secrets, three secrets actually to peace with food. There are plenty of other ones, but I decided we would, since we only have 20 minutes, we would make it a really doable kind of amount of items that we're going to cover. Um, uh, and I want you to kind of imagine for yourself, do your holidays focus on food? Like, I think well, I know everybody I've ever talked to, they said a resounding yes. My holidays focus around food, and that can be a good thing and that can be a scary thing. And that's literally what we're going to talk about today. Who am I? Erin told you some things about me. I like to like qualify like why I talk about food stuff. And this is me sitting in the lavender fields. And my story is that I was 8 years old when my parents got divorced. And I then gained a lot of weight. I mean, a lot of weight in quotes, just relative, my weight went up. I tried many diets over the years. I started at my mom's prompting as a young teen. She offered me those, it was back in the day, it was very high protein diets. And I said yes, because what else are you going to do if your mom says your body is too big and you need to be smaller? So I said yes to dieting. I became obsessed with food and with my weight and yo-yo dieted over many, many, many years. I felt bad about myself and I thought there was really literally something wrong with me. And then I found intuitive eating. It's interesting to me that part about feeling bad about myself is very, very common with people that I talk to. I talk to people all over who talk about feeling bad about themselves and bad about how their body is. And this is pretty common. And I found intuitive eating, and that's how I work with people. I call it a secret, but when I tell you the things are good, oh, Kim, okay, those make sense. And what we know about intuitive eating is that we were born intuitive eaters, but societal messages to be thin, diet, lose weight lead us on to not listen to our bodies and to not trust our bodies. And that's according to the book Intuitive Eating. So I just want to qualify that that's where I come from. And let's start. So they're secrets, but when I talk about them, like I said, you're going to go, oh, okay, this makes sense. And I think the first secret when I thought about this topic today about the holidays is really understanding your emotional triggers. What makes you overeat over the holidays? Because I think there are other challenges that come in over the holidays as opposed to what happened when you're during the rest of the year. There are certain, I call it the holiday trifecta. October 1 to January 1 is this 3 month time period where there's a lot of food that shows up, and there's a lot of stressors that show up. And so one of the first secret is to understanding it is identify what those stressors and emotions are, and learning to address the stressors are a key to breaking that cycle of, I think you guys all can like qualify with me that like we recognize that there are times when we have certain feelings, certain things come up and we eat. And it's kind of like, I can't not do it. I don't know what else to do. And the first step in understanding emotional eating is understanding what the emotions are. So what we know in the holidays, I got this picture of the two robots because I was thinking like we go along the holidays kind of feeling a little robotic, and things are going on because it's always every year similar things come at us. And I find a huge problem is the amount of stress. I talked with clients earlier in the day, and the amount of stressors that are over the holidays are huge. Family, friends, expectations, money, presents, children, feeling overloaded from last month, feeling overloaded from uh, the whole year. And those stressors all show up over the holidays. And the solution is identify the stressors. I like using my journal where I really delve into what are my stressors, what's coming up for me that's a stress, and really getting into noticing it. So what can be the stressors over the holidays? You don't like talking with your uncle. You don't like that people drink so much. We're going to talk later about boundaries. I think that's going to be important to look at, like how you can set boundaries, right? On who you talk to and what you do. But you got to identify it first. You got to recognize, ooh, this is a problem. What else? People, places. I don't want to go to this place, or I do want to go to that place, and I have to negotiate it. Um, and we're going to talk a little later about what I call your holiday bucket list to start really identifying kind of the antidote to the stressor is what I'm going to do to take care of myself. So, first, identify the stressors and check in with your emotions. I love this girl. She's kind of like going, uh-oh, uh-oh. Should we check in with our emotions? Yes, yes, yes. The therapist in me says we have to honor our emotions and really determine, what am I feeling? I like going through the list of the happy, sad, mad, anxious, lonely, bored, like kind of some of the basic ones. And you can use those, what I just identified, six of them, to start going in. How am I feeling right now? I'm feeling a little nervous, a little anxious because, getting up and speaking is, I think that's top on the people's list of biggest stressors. So I feel that way right now. And what am I doing? I'm breathing. I'm acknowledging it to you, and I know those emotions just mean I'm alive and means that I'm excited to be here. And I like to check in and go, what's the stressor? How am I feeling? And then what are those feelings telling you? That's just what I was saying is for me, those feelings are telling me that I am alive and that I'm excited. And I could go in the other direction and say, oh, those feelings are telling me to not come here, that I shouldn't log on, that I shouldn't talk, that I should hold back what I have to say. And I'm not gonna take those feelings as meaning that. I'm taking them to mean like, okay, Kim, you're excited, and I'm what do I call it? Like transforming it, right? Transforming it. So identify the feelings, name the feelings. Then what are they trying to tell me? This is another thing I love my journal for. I love using my journal as the opportunity to determine, how am I feeling? What do I need? What's going on? And so that is a good place to start recognizing this. So the solution is what are your feelings telling you? And then take care of those emotions. Like really figuring out, what are those emotions telling me and what do I need to do about it? I think this one is a secret in that it's part of what we talk about in intuitive eating is, what foods do you really want? This is the time where we restrict, where we say, I can't, I can't, I can't. And I just want to invite you that there are certain holiday foods that are what we call in intuitive eating fun foods. They're fun, that we like them. They come out generally once a year. Eggnog latte. It comes out once a year. I probably could. I don't know that I could find eggnog the rest of the year. So it's, for me, it's a fun food that's just associated with this time of year, and I like it. So I like to identify what are the foods that I really want, and really acknowledge in intuitive eating, what we talk about is restriction leads us to overeat. So this is a really important secret that I think you all know, is that when we restrict, when we say no, that actually leads us to want it more. And I'm saying, start looking at, what do you really want? What do you really want? What foods feel enlivening to you and satisfying to you? Because we tend to start from the perspective of it's good food or it's bad food. We're restricting and we're moralizing. And we then say, I'm a good person or a bad person based on what I eat. Food is food. It's just something you have. If the emotions are leading you to eat this food that doesn't make your body feel good, well, we want to then go back to the emotions, like we talked about in the first secret, is really looking at what those emotions are about, but really learning and noticing, what foods do I really want? And asking yourself, what would give me satisfaction? What would give me satisfaction? Um, it's interesting. I had the a latte the other day, and it was a gingerbread latte. And I really wanted eggnog latte. They didn't have it. So I had this other one, and I got to tell you, it didn't feel good in my body. And it didn't give me satisfaction, and I'm just not going to have it again. And so when we have things that are satisfying, when we have the things that feel good, we just have a bit of it and then we move on. We then don't have to binge because we don't want to, because we don't need to, because we've had what we want. So what do we do then is we start building in this. So if we have foods that we want, and we're talking about taking care of our emotions, to me, that leads us into what are we going to do for self care? Because if we're engaging in self care, if we're taking care of those emotions, if we're putting food in its place as nourishment, it's the thing that we eat to eat, or to nourish ourselves. Then the self care becomes the part where we nurture ourselves. Food is nourishment. Food takes care of our body. We can have fun food. And if we're taking care of our emotions, that fun food doesn't move into I'm eating too much or I don't feel good about myself when I'm eating because I'm taking care of my emotions. So, along with the taking care of emotions, we got to build in this other area of self care. And I want to really encourage you to think about building in self care that actually works. I have this a blog that I did on self care is not a pedicure. Because we think, like, what's the thing we put? Oh, I'm gonna have a pedicure. That's gonna be my self care. That's it's a thing, but it's really not. Doing a pedicure as a self care will not take care of our emotions. It just won't. So let's just call it and say, I love a pedicure, but it's not the self care we need to build into taking care of ourselves, our emotions, and our bodies. So build in self care that actually works. I like to think about this as a holiday bucket list. What are the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves? And I like this. I actually decided I would show you guys my holiday bucket list. Here it is right here. I have it on my in my journal. And I literally every year write down what are the things I want to do. So these are the things that are actually going to make me feel better. Go to the museum. I have a craft I want to do. And so the craft is on my list. I want to go see Wicked. So that's on my bucket list. I want to go to Nevada City. Those of you that live in this Sacramento area know Nevada City has this great Victorian Christmas. And there's a book I want to read. I put on here Time to Be. I want to go to the beach. So there are these things that literally putting my sand or putting my feet in the sand at the beach is a my really top way of self-care. So these are things that I have on my bucket list. So what happens is that these are the things that literally feed me. I'll probably put on there later on because what I love about doing a holiday bucket list is that you can add to it. You can also subtract from it. If it's something like, yeah, no, not this year, I'm gonna cross it off. You can add to it. And I want you to just kind of really imagine what would be on your list. What would you start doing? I'm going to give you a link at the end to for you to get a copy of my, not mine, but a way that I do my holiday bucket list. Because what we find is if we don't write it down and we don't schedule it, it will not happen. I, you guys, you're nodding. Thank you for nodding. Like it's true. And this is what I find fascinating. The reason why I developed my holiday bucket list was because I would have these ideas about what I wanted to do over the holidays. And I would never put them on the list. Or I'm sorry, I would put them on the list. I would not put them in the schedule. Well, seeing Wicked is on my bucket list. And I got to say, my schedule's getting a little packed. So I literally am looking at, well, and also it's being, it's selling out. So like I've got to be strategic about how I do that. So do you see there's a lot of thought process that goes into getting these things done? And I know musicals are one of my really my heart filled they fill my heart. And I know that that will help tone it down for me, tone down my emotions because I'll have this really enlivening experience. Music, oh my gosh, that is a great form of self-care for me. So you can see my things on my list are some of them are with other people, some of them are by myself. So really, I encourage you right now, start thinking about what would be on my holiday bucket list. What kind of things will help lower the stress and make me feel enlivened? The thing about this is that it can end up feeling like, Kim, you're giving me another thing to do. Kim, you're putting another thing for me to do. And that's literally the antithesis of this idea. It really is about you figuring out what feeds your soul. Yeah, in front of all of my URLs is Feed Your Soul, my podcast, Feed Your Soul with Kim. Feed your soul. What would feed your soul? And I always put on this bucket list for the holidays. I really get it in touch with the holiday story. I love going to a holiday or a service, some kind of service that feeds me. I actually am going to one this weekend, and it's on my list. So those are the things that I know feed me. So remember that as we feed our souls, as we do our bucket list, these are things that help calm our emotions. They give us an opportunity to nurture ourselves with these things that literally work. Literally, they work. And we move out of having to nurture ourselves with food, right? Because food, when we eat the things that we really want and need and are really in touch with our body, they feed us in a way that make us feel more enlivened. I told you the other day I had a holiday drink that didn't make me feel good. So like I'm not going to do that again. And that's the great thing about when you feed your soul, when you nourish yourself with things that feel good in your body, you're going to feel great. And if you recognize that there's something that's not making you feel good, don't do that because I have on my bucket list plenty of things that I can turn to that will feed me more, that will feed me in a more empowered way. The other thing, I love to let in the last minute, let your significant people know what's on your list. I don't share all of the personal things, but they know I want to go to Wicked. So anybody want to go with me, right? And so that's what I said to my people. I want to go to Nevada City. Anybody want to go with me? So then I make it an experience, and these are significant people that you like. I have people that I'm going with next week. We're going to do some wrapping for a gift we're giving to a group of people. And also, we're going to go up to Placerville to all of the, if you're local to the area, we go and explore all of the festivities up in Placerville. So I invite in significant people that feel good to me, that feel connected to me, and let them know what I want to do. And I encourage my family to do their own holiday bucket list so that they can put it on their schedule. So I want to thank you guys for being a part of this presentation. I want you get your holiday bucket list. I have it all written out. All you have to do is send me an email, info@feedyoursoulunlimited.com, and get your holiday bucket list. Do it. I promise you it works. It will help you feed your soul in a different way. Thank you guys. Let me see. Yay. There we go. I stopped the share. Right on time.
Yay, thank you.
Yay. A team.
That was awesome, Kim. Let's give
Thank
Kim a
you.
round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, why don't you go ahead and put your free gift in the chat, the link to that.
Okay.
I did put your free, the quiz in there, the link to that, but you can put whatever you wanted to put in there as your free gift. Everyone, if you have any questions or comments for Kim, go ahead and put those in the chat too, and she can answer those as we go along. And next, we have Michelle Walters. Michelle's going to talk about how hypnosis can help with weight management. So, Michelle Walters is a dynamic, award winning executive coach and hypnotherapist with a passion for helping individuals unlock their subconscious potential and lead with purpose. With a background in business consulting and digital marketing, she brings a unique blend of corporate experience and emotional intelligence to her work. After earning her MBA from the Foster School of Business at University of Washington, Michelle spent many years working in digital marketing for a variety of creative agencies and large corporations. Michelle transitioned from leading teams, executing corporate marketing, and advertising strategies to guiding individuals and organizations on their growth journeys. Michelle blends her expertise in human behavior, understanding people's strengths to help clients identify and transform conscious and subconscious patterns, empowering them to achieve higher levels of personal well-being and professional success. Michelle is a clinical hypnotherapist and member of the American Council of Hypnotist Examiners. She's a certified John Maxwell leadership coach as well. So thank you so much for being here, Michelle. I'm going to put you as the speaker. Second
Can
here.
you turn on make sure I can share?
Yes, you can. You should be able
Okay.
to share.
Awesome.
There we go. Okay, there you are. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Here, let me page over to my presentation today. There we go. Can you folks see that?
Yep. Oh,
Okay, great. So I am Michelle. I grew up in California and then I went off to business school and I led teams. And about 3 years ago during the pandemic, I realized if I was going to change careers, it was a great time to change careers. And so that's when I decided to become really to tap the hypnotherapist certificate that I had earned previously on the side and open my doors to do something completely new and different. I, at the same time, launched a book called An Alignment of Spirit, Finding Work You Love, which is really a law of attraction book about how to get a job, because like who would write that book except me? And I also have an Etsy store as well as a podcast called Mind Power Meets Mystic. I'm very excited because just a couple months ago, I was awarded the Best Business Coach of Oakland and the East Bay. I am letting you guys know. Also, I have a new book coming out next year called The ABCs of Conscious Leadership. So, but today's talk is all about hypnosis. And one of the things that I love using hypnosis for is really it aligns so well with my superpower. So there's this crazy story about how I discovered my superpower that involves Chinese astrologists and international phone calls and gifting of my book and crazy things. But the Chinese astrologer told me something that seemed to be enormously true, which was that I have an outstanding understanding of human nature. I get just intuitively how it aligns with finding people's inner strengths and helps them to transform. And one of the modalities that I use for this is hypnosis because I'm trained in it and it's so very powerful. I see it work for almost everyone who tries it. Not everyone, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what is hypnosis and who does it work for? How does it work? And then how can it play a role in your weight management strategy? So I usually ask people sort of where they're from, have they been hypnotized, why they're here. So I do want to take a quick second and see if anybody could put in the chat, has anyone been hypnotized before? Yes, I see it. I see a hand raised from Kim. I see a not me. Okay, so we have a combination of people. Not me. Okay, great. I think that's a good thing because it gives me even more to talk about. So one of the things people want to know is what is hypnosis, right? Like you see it in the movies, you see it on stage, you have people tell you, oh yeah, I quit due to quit smoking due to hypnosis. Like, what is it that I'm talking about? Well, the best definition, I think, is this one on the bottom, which comes from a guy named Milton Erickson. And Erickson said it was a state of intensified attention and receptiveness with an increased responsiveness to an idea or a set of ideas. And even though you don't think you've been hypnotized before, you really all have been in a state that is just like hypnosis. And you just don't realize it. When you are driving down the highway and you are like totally focused on where you're going and you've kind of lost track of everything that's going on around you, or when you're in a movie theater in the middle of the summer and it's hot, burning hot outside, you go into the theater and it's cold and dark and you're just completely focused on the movie and you forget that there's like any other world. Um, that is a state of mind that is much like hypnosis. And even if you don't drive or go to movies, everybody falls asleep and wakes up in the morning, and that moment that is right between being awake and falling asleep is very much akin to a hypnotic state in terms of the state that your brain is in. And I love this chart. I majored in science, and I think this is one of the best charts I have found to describe what is hypnosis like. Because it's a little bit like sleep. Like, you know what sleep is because you do it. Well, you will have an understanding of what being hypnotized is like because you try it. So over here on this left-hand side, this is like when you're awake. And over here on the right-hand side is when you're in a state of mild or deep hypnosis. When you are awake, you're not that suggestible, right? Like somebody says, they want to do something, you don't really want to do it. You're going to be able to say, no, I don't want to do that. When you're in a state of being hypnotized, super relaxed, open to new ideas, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. I could do that. Your attention is very different in a state of hypnosis from being awake. When you're awake, your mind is on like all these things. Your attention is on so many things at the same time. When you are in a state of hypnosis, you are completely relaxed and very, very absorbed. It is easy to just focus on one thing. And the last one here is dissociation. And this one works kind of backwards. So when you are not hypnotized, you are not very dissociated, meaning that you are very connected to your body. But when you are in that state of being almost falling asleep, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to go with the flow. It's kind of the opposite. And this magic of how these three things come together, well, it's not really magic, but the way these things come together leads to being able to make changes to one's thought patterns when you're in a state of hypnosis that are much, much easier than when you are wide awake and in your more critical mind. So hypnosis is completely natural and it's also completely consensual. So it's really fun to like imagine that the people in the movies are, getting people to do things that they don't want to do. But the point is you really can't get people to do things that they don't want to do in hypnosis. That's just not possible. It's not how it works. Your mind will prevent you from doing anything you don't want to do. And so hypnosis only works on things that you want it to work on. But what it does do is it allows you to set aside that critical, conscious mind. And it's a great way to change patterns, right? To be able to what I think of as kind of reprogramming, rewriting the way the subconscious works. It is not scary or embarrassing and is not harmful. As a hypnotherapist, I cannot get anybody to do anything that they wouldn't agree with doing. I don't have to get releases from anybody because hypnosis just isn't powerful unless the person assigns it that value. And I put up here like embarrassing because some people think, oh, those hypnotized people on the stage at the state fair, they must be so embarrassed that they're quacking like chickens or rubbing their bellies or singing songs or whatever. Nope. All of them are there because they're okay being there. And so, in that sense, they're not embarrassed. So people's fundamental question, can I be hypnotized? Well, probably. There is a very small fraction of people who cannot be hypnotized. Basically, though, if you can read a book and imagine what's going on, you're probably hypnotizable. there are some odd little things of people who can't visualize things. If you can't visualize things or imagine places, smells, sounds, then you won't be a good candidate for hypnosis. But that's really not very many people. It's also said that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis because people have to allow the hypnosis to happen. If you fight the hypnosis, it's not going to work. And so in that sense, it's really, we call it self-hypnosis because the person being hypnotized has to go along with it. It's their self-hypnosis. So how does it work? Basically, I think of it as works as like shifting one thought out of the way because you push a new thought into that space, right? Your brain does not like holes in your thinking. Your brain is like, oh, if I was thinking this before, maybe I can move that out of the way and put something else in there, but you just can't create a vacuum. And so this is one of the things that when I'm working with clients on food triggers or changing their eating habits, like we're going to change by exiting one habit and putting a new habit in its place, right? As opposed to, just I'm never kind of what Kim was saying earlier, like you have to swap one thing out for another and you can't just give up everything altogether. That won't work. Your subconscious and your conscious mind will fight it. Suggestions that are made under hypnosis are really powerful, and it just is. The subconscious works based on positive words and assertions. So if I told everybody here, like, whatever you do, I don't want you to be thinking about pink elephants. What do people do? They think about pink elephants, right? That's the way our brain works. And hypnosis leverages that understanding to basically put in new thoughts that are going to be more helpful than the old thoughts. So it's really interesting to me. Again, my science side comes up. Hypnosis is kind of interesting to think about the brain waves because your brain is always emitting these electromagnetic brain waves. And most of the time, you spend your waking hours in this beta level, in this green level here. But when you are in a state of hypnosis, what happens is certain parts of your brain, it's not your whole brain, but certain parts of your brain start dialing down. They become much lower frequency. They move into this alpha territory. And so when a client is in the state of hypnosis, then she is in this alpha territory. Then, people also say, well, what's this theta and this delta? Where these are states that you typically go to in sleep. And it is possible for me to hypnotize someone and have them drop into theta periodically. But really, you would only go into delta when you fall asleep. I also find it really interesting, and I like to point out at this point that most children under 7 spend their waking hours in alpha. Most children under 7 are kind of acting like they are hypnotized all the time. And so, what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, part of what that looks like is that, they're imaginative, they're playing, they're kind of doing their thing. They don't care if something's real or not. That is very much a state that is similar to hypnosis. I'm going to go quickly through this page. Because you don't have to believe in this page in order for hypnosis to work, but some people find this page really helpful in terms of their understanding. So, as I've studied the levels of the mind, I kind of organize levels into 3 categories. There's the conscious physical level, which is where we all are most of the time. There's the meditating or hypnosis, this kind of subconscious emotional level. And then there's this other level of the mind that I believe exists, that you don't have to believe exists, and it still works if you don't believe it exists for hypnosis. But I call it the superconscious or the cosmic mind. It's kind of the one mind. It's like, where did Mozart get his ideas? Where did Einstein get his ideas? How do people know what's happening somewhere else? Um, Being in a state of hypnosis tends to make access to that superconscious mind a little bit faster, broader, easier. What are some different kinds of hypnosis? Well, there's professional hypnosis. I work with people one-to-one. It's usually much faster than working with a traditional therapist because it's a different practice. Like we work on some of the same issues, but I've got people going into states of hypnosis in order to figure out maybe what is their block or what is their trigger. It's completely natural, and I do it both online as well as offline. I also encourage a lot of people to try self-hypnosis because it works really, really well. And it works very well, especially supporting certain habits like food. So having a tape to listen to over and over again when you're working by yourself, you're not disturbed. You can do so many different things. Once a year, I teach a class on how to write your own hypnosis. I usually do that in the fall, but I think it's kind of cool to be able to learn to write your own because then you could write your own for whatever you want to do, whether you're getting over a phobia or getting rid of a food thing that you don't want to eat anymore. It's just an interesting use. And then I wanted to bring up in this class that I do a couple of programs during the year for various things, but I do several programs that have to do with food because it's a great way for people to get introduced to what is hypnosis and see how it works. I just did one of them. So the holiday one that I do every year is over because I do it usually right before Thanksgiving. It's called Boost Your Mood, Not Your Food. And in Boost Your Mood, Not Your Food, we play a little game, get everybody feeling really happy. And then the second half of it is a hypnosis for not overeating for the holidays. And then I have another one I do a couple other times a year. I think the next one is in February, which is called SOS, Stop Overeating Sugar. Because I have found that my hypnosis, even with a group of people, and these I've been doing, I can do it in person, but these I also do online can be really helpful for helping people to resist overeating of sugar. I also have done in the past hypnosis for drinking less, very effective for drinking less. And it works for lots of different things, but it's amazing how well it works for food. So there's lots of different ways you can use hypnosis. I'm focusing today a little bit on the weight management and food side of things, but you can use hypnosis to boost creativity, to deal with your procrastination, to handle holiday stress and anxiety. Hypnosis is really, I mean, it's not a cure-all, but it does work really, really well for a wide variety of things. So in terms of weight management, most of America is obese. And what I have found with hypnosis is that is very helpful to kind of removing some of the automatic pull that you have when you go to like a party or your favorite food. Hypnosis can be really helpful to reducing those triggers and persuading you to do something else. So, if you're trying to drink less alcohol, maybe we could help you develop a new habit where instead of drinking a gin and tonic, you're drinking a sugar-free tonic water. Something like that. We usually do a substitution to stop doing one thing and do something else. Again, it's kind of that idea of you're going to push out one habit and pull in another. So, what are some of the techniques for this? Well, self-hypnosis is really very effective. It helps your subconscious know that this is something you're trying to do. It's helpful to be able to reduce triggers at a subconscious level. If you have like a trigger, like every time your sister calls you eat chocolate because it stresses you out, like those kinds of things are things that we can work on in hypnosis. And then I work with people both in groups. I also work with people individually. And some people, I think most people just eat food because it's it's a habit, it's pleasurable, it's easy. But there are people who I've worked with where food is really has some underlying subconscious elements to it. And when those things come up, I can also work with people in order to process those past experiences or memories so that they don't carry the same amount of influence and force, making it easier to make a change. So that's the speech I wanted to give today. I do a free hypnosis session once a month. I have one coming up tomorrow at noon. The next one is on January 3rd, and it's at noon. You can sign up for it on my classes page. I will put the link in the chat. And for everyone who comes from this session, if you just email me and tell me that you're coming, or you just email me, I will go ahead and send you a free copy of my Etsy product, which is Hypnosis for Weight Loss. And I think that is can be really, really helpful. I've gotten some very positive reviews. So I'm going to stop my share. It looks like I have about 2 minutes left. Are there any questions I can answer?
If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. And Michelle, if you could pop your...
Hi, this is...
Go ahead.
Lisa, go ahead.
Michelle, this is fantastic. And I wondered, how do you overcome when you mentioned that you'd like, because I have, I've been trained on hypnosis, but some people freak out and they're scared by it. What is it that you say? I mean, although you did include some very nice ways of looking at it and explaining it, is there anything else that you can suggest that to help people not be afraid of it?
This is one of the reasons why I love to give this talk, because after this talk, people really aren't afraid. I mean, it hasn't been a problem. But it is important to bring it up, and it remains a challenge, because a lot of people mistakenly think that it has some kind of absurd power. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
like mind control or
Power you
something.
give it. It has the power you give it, and the more power you give it, the more successful and accelerated results you're going to see.
And they can know ahead of time what suggestions you're going to make. They can even work together with you. That's what I was trying to tell her. We can work together and craft it.
When I work with people one-on-one, we customize it exactly to what a particular person needs. When I do a group session, you kind of get a little watered down version. But I'll put the links here in the chat in a minute for all of you. Thank you so much for making this opportunity, Erin. I love speaking about this.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was really great. It was really, really informational and helpful. And I know you have some questions in the chat as well, and definitely drop your link because people were asking for that too. But there was a couple questions in the chat, Michelle, so if you wanted to go up and read those and answer them as well, that'd be great. Okay, and I am speaking next. I'm going to go ahead and put me on the screen. Okay. Grab my notes. All right, so I just popped to, if you came in a little late, at the beginning, I mentioned if you're watching on Zoom, we're also on Facebook Live, and I put in the chat a couple minutes ago the link to my Facebook where it's streaming live. If you would be so wonderful and go ahead and go to the Facebook page or my profile and hit the share button, that would be so awesome, so we can get all of this amazing information that we're sharing today out to more people. And then also I put the link in there for the Confident Women Community. That's my Facebook group. Thank you, Lana. Just popped that in the chat again as well. The Facebook group as well is my group. And if you would want to join the group, I would love to have you. I post things in there as well on building confidence. Okay. So I'm going to be talking today about how to be bold for your best year ever, reaching your 2025 vision. I have a ton to share about this, so I think I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2 next month for vision. I actually teach a 2-day workshop on this where we go over vision. Thanks, I'm not sharing slides, Lisa, yet. I'm going to have a couple slides in a little bit. So I'm going to share, so I do a 2-day workshop where we'd go over like, what is your big vision? We put your big vision glasses on during the class, and we share what we try to figure out, what is your big vision for your life, your business. And then we look at what is going to be in your way. What are the limiting beliefs, the fears, all that kind of stuff. And then we make vision boards on the second day. So I have so much information to share about vision that I'm going to do a 2-part series for this month and next month for this Empowered Women Speaker Series. So today I'm going to be talking about a few things. So if you have big dreams and goals, you've got to be bold. And I know I've shared this bold acronym before, and I'm going to keep sharing it because it's really, really important, but I'm going to dive in more to the vision behind being bold today. If you have not heard my acronym before for bold, it stands for, and I'll pop this in the chat too, so that you can have that, because I have a lot of things to go over. So bold stands for be brave, get out of your comfort zone, let go of limiting beliefs and fears, and do the unexpected. Okay, so be brave, get out of your comfort zone, let go of limiting beliefs and fears, and do the unexpected. So we're going to dive into what bold means to reach your vision today. So for those of you who have not heard my story, I used to be very, very shy. Some called me painfully shy. But I always, even as a kid, had a big vision. I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. So I always did things to help other people, whether that was helping conflict resolution on the playground, whether that was Kids for Saving Earth Club. I was the president of my chapter, or I created a chapter. In college, I was in the DREAM community, which was Daring to Reach Equality Among Many, and we canvassed our campus and helped to create more equality. And then in 2008, I decided very, very much doing the unexpected was I joined passion parties. So for 5 years, I sold and I did in-home parties for women, kind of like a Mary Kay party or a Tupperware party, only I sold things that went buzz in the night. Lotions, potions, things that went buzz in the night. And so I did that for 5 years, and I decided to do that because I knew I had a big vision and I knew I wanted to help more people, but I couldn't do that being shy. So I figured selling romance enhancers would help me to bust out of my shy shell and to grow my confidence. So I did that for 5 years. I met my very first life coach. I fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with helping my team. And I started to, I really grew my confidence a lot in those 5 years. So being brave starts with a super clear vision. So I had a clear vision on wanting to help more people. I knew that I wanted to help women. I knew that I wanted to help women be more confident. And I kind of went from there. I started realizing I wanted to do retreats. I wanted to do events. And I really wanted to help transform lives. So I put my big vision glasses on and I went for it. I got certified as a coach, and I just kept getting more and more clarity. And things will change over the years too. I changed, my niche has kind of shifted and evolved over the years too. So if you aren't super clear about what your vision is, it's going to be really easy to fall into fear. It's going to be really easy to hold yourself back when those limiting beliefs and fears come up, which are going to come up. You're going to have limiting beliefs. You're going to have fears. Potion parties. Well, we did have potions. We had some lotions and potions and things like that, but yeah, passion parties. So if you're super clear about your vision though, you're still going to have limiting beliefs. You're still going to have fears come up, but you can refocus on your vision and you can start changing the thoughts and pushing past the fears as they come up. Okay. So you can start getting clarity on your vision with the following questions. And I dive really deep into this on my 2-day visioning workshop. We get deep into this. I have the women pair up and ask each other back and forth these questions. And I'll pop these in the chat as well. But ask yourself, or if you have a trusted friend, maybe another coach or a mentor, you can ask yourself these questions or ask each other these questions back and forth for a few minutes at a time. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you want to feel? So then that's what do you want? Like, what do you really want? And I'm not talking necessarily material things. I'm talking about deep within you things. I want to feel at peace. I want to feel calm. I want to feel radiant and energized. Right? So what do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you want to feel? Those feeling part is really critical when it comes to creating or manifesting things. You're going to have a different vibration when you start getting really into that feeling part. And those pieces, that feeling is really magnetic, and it's going to start drawing things to you. It's going to draw more opportunities to you. It's going to help create those things that you want. So you really want to visualize and get into the feeling of having that thing. It's as if you already have that thing in your life. Okay. And so when you're thinking about it, when I say that, I mean, you're not just thinking about, oh, wouldn't that be nice? You're thinking, oh, here I am, and I just completed my retreat, my very first retreat. And oh my gosh, it was so amazing. And you start really getting into the feeling of, what does that retreat look like? What does it feel like? What is happening at this retreat, right? So whatever that dream is, start getting into that feeling of it. Really visualize, really imagine it. And so once you can start visualizing it, and once you start getting really clear on that, you can start being more brave, and you're going to start taking more action, and you're going to start to put those limiting beliefs and those fears to the side so that you can actually make things happen. So I started talking about a retreat because that was one of my dreams for years. I had this dream of creating this retreat, and I made it happen in 2019. It was absolutely incredible. So the dream was, I had it for years, and I kept thinking, I really want to have this retreat. Wouldn't that be amazing? And I kind of started, like, my very first speech ever, being a very shy person, was literally written out word for word, and I read it with the paper like in my face because I was so shy. And it was in front of a handful of people that I had been meeting with weekly for at least a year. And I'm still so shy and so scared that I read it word for word. But that was my very first speech. And then I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And the crowds got bigger. I started moving away from my notes and just having bullet points. And then I started doing my own events. I did my first event in 2013, and my retreat I was able to do in 2019. But I had this dream for years. It was on my vision boards, and it was in my mind that I just really wanted to help so many women, and that I would visualize it, right? And I started thinking, well, where do I want to have it? I would love to have it in a cabin. I would love to have it, I started thinking, well, maybe Tahoe. And so then I started thinking about Tahoe, and I started being able to see the room with the women in it, gathered around in the living room, talking, transforming, diving deep into these fears, these limiting beliefs, these transforming these old beliefs, there was stuff that came up, like traumas that came up, and really healing things happened at this retreat where I had it. And when I had it, and I was just so in the moment in my visualizations, right? I could feel it inside of me, like in the core of myself when I focused on and visualized this retreat. So I tried to have the retreat in 2019 or 2018, and I started planning it and started like putting it out there. And then I realized my business isn't quite ready yet. I didn't quite have enough people in my orbit yet that would have been ready to come to a retreat. So I postponed it. And then I scheduled again for August of 2019. And I realized that 2019 in August wasn't really a good time to have it, because a lot of, people were either having their vacations, wrapping up the summer, and then sending their kids back to school. So it was really bad timing. So I thought, okay, well, we're going to try this one more time and see if I can make it happen in October. So I pushed it back a couple more months, and I did it. I kept being brave, right? And it was really, really scary because I had to rent a house. That was expensive, right? For a weekend. I had to buy food. I had to, get the clients there. And I just kept focusing on it and trusting and believing and being brave and putting myself out there and asking people to come. And it was within like a week and a half or so of the retreat that I filled it. I got my last one or two people into the door, and it was the most transformational, amazing retreat because I kept being brave, right? If I had not kept being brave, if I had bought into my beliefs and these fears of looking stupid or looking like a loser for not making it happen, I've already tried twice. What am I going to look like if I try a third time, right? If I had bought into and allowed myself to dive into these fears and these limiting beliefs and it not working and all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't have worked. But I kept being brave and I kept being brave and I kept showing up and I kept trusting and believing that it would work out perfectly, no matter how it worked out, that it made it happen. It was absolutely incredible. And I'm going to show you some pictures in just a second here. But I had a photographer as part of the retreat and she was taking pictures and stuff. She had to leave for a couple hours on the second day. And the retreat was only Friday night till Sunday at noon. So it was only like a day and a half really total. The transformation was absolutely incredible. But the photographer left. She came in the morning on Saturday and left for a couple hours. And when she came back, she walked into the house. She was like, whoa, what happened in here while I was gone? Like, you guys are different. The energy is different. Your faces are different. Everything's different in this room. And she was right. Everything changed in that couple hours. Things shifted. The women started having this huge transformation. And I'm so going to show you really quickly a few pictures because she had this fantastic idea, and I'm going to do this every retreat I ever have again, is, where is it? Let's see. Show my desktop. Okay. Can you see my slideshow? Okay, cool. I have this in my way. So she had this idea to take pictures of the ladies' faces close up at the very beginning and the very end to see if they looked different. And they did. But here's some pictures of some exercises we did. And these ladies knew each other literally like overnight. That's it. Most of them had not met before they walked into the house. Only a couple people knew each other. It was absolutely transformational, amazing. And I'm sharing these with you because these are the things that can happen when you focus on your vision, when you don't let your fears and your limiting beliefs control you and get in your way, and when you keep being brave and when you get out of your comfort zone, right? These two ladies on the right-hand side that are jumping up and down, I mean, they literally knew each other like one night. You know, like, it's crazy. The friendships that were formed were absolutely amazing. But here's the pictures of, here's a few of the pictures of the very beginning and the very end. So this is Jessica, and you can see in her face, you can see that she is, you know, she's kind of, seems like she's forcing a smile, right? And at the end, she's just like radiant and joyful, and her eyes are glittering because she had so much transformation in just those 2 days. And this is Gail, and she, same thing, right? Her smile is more effortless. Her eyes are, she's just glowing at the end. A couple more here. So you can see what happened during that retreat. And so I'm sharing these with you because you can do this too. When you put on your brave pants, right? Like I had to pull up my big girl brave pants and say, I'm going to do this. And this is really scary, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this retreat happen. And I'm going to transform lives, right? So that is a little bit about the retreat and a little bit about being brave and getting out of your comfort zone. So you have got to get out of your comfort zone to make your dreams happen, right? You can't stay comfortable and make your dreams happen. I would have loved to have stayed shy and stay in my little bubble and not talked to people and not gotten up on stages and not spoken up, but I knew that I wasn't going to make my dreams happen if I stayed the same. I had to grow, which meant getting out of my comfort zone. So I have taken lots of big leaps. I've also taken lots of baby steps. If you're afraid, which I totally understand because I've had a lot of fear, I still do. I'm not going to lie. Just because I'm a confidence coach now doesn't mean I never have fear. Doesn't mean I never want to stay in my comfort zone. Doesn't mean I don't have limiting beliefs. I do. I still have those struggles. So if you're having fears, if you're wanting to do something and you're having fears, you're having those limiting beliefs, it's okay. You can take baby steps. You don't have to take big, massive leaps. I've shared a lot of stories over, the times that if you've been on these other calls, you've heard other stories of me being on TV and going on live dating on TV and all these different things that I've done. You don't have to do those things to grow your confidence. you can take baby steps too. I've taken tons and tons of baby steps. You will get there. But whenever I think about these things, right, I put my big vision glasses on when I get into my fear and I say, what's my big vision? And I think about, what is it that I really want? Who is it that I really want to touch? What transformations do I really want to help people with? And that helps me get out of those fears, past those beliefs. So think about that for yourself too. What beliefs do you have that are limiting you, right? What beliefs, what fears are holding you back? And start to change those thoughts. A friend of mine once told me, outside my comfort is my zone. And I loved that. And I've always remembered that. That was years ago. And I tried to live by that, right? It was not comfortable for me to create a retreat. It's not comfortable for me to run Zooms like this, right? Like, I get nervous too. It's not always comfortable, but my vision is bigger than my fears. And I want you guys to focus on that too. Is your vision bigger than your fears? If it's not, think about your vision more. Really get into that vision. And when I talk about vision, I'm talking about like the big picture. How are you going to help people? What is it going to do for people's lives? I'm not talking about goals. Goals are very different. Goals is how you're going to get to the vision. Okay. So goals are the steps to get you there. Vision is the big umbrella. And from my retreat, about half of my attendees have become coaches since then. And a lot of them didn't have that even on their radar, but they had such a transformation at the time that they wanted to become coaches themselves. So I'm going to dive deeper. We only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to dive deeper in the next month about how to let go of limiting beliefs and fears, what's stopping you, things like that, and then how to do the unexpected. What does that mean? What does doing the unexpected mean? You know, for me, I've done a lot of things that were unexpected, like joining passion parties, for example. But letting go of beliefs and fears, that's a really, really big one. We dive deep into this in my coaching. We dive deep into this at my visioning retreat, which I mentioned is a couple days long. But start to think about, in the meantime, what's been stopping you? Where have you fallen short on your goals and dreams in the past? What do you think contributed to that? What beliefs or fears got in your way? What might change in your life if you no longer had those beliefs and fears, if you weren't letting them hold you back? So in the meantime, as you're thinking about next year, 2025, start paying attention to those thoughts you have every day, especially as it pertains to your vision and your dreams. Okay. So next month, we're going to be, January 2nd is going to be our next Empowered Women Speaker Series. So make sure to sign up for that, and we'll go over the second half of the bold, how to reach your vision in that call. But for everyone here today, my offer to you today is a free Confident Woman Visioning call. And this is going to help you to see where you're at right now with your vision and how to get you to your next level. You might be super confident right now, but you might be thinking, ooh, my next level, that's a little scary. I'm not quite sure how to get past these next fears, these next beliefs. I'm going to help you to look at your vision, to expand your vision for 2025, and to expand your confidence as well, so that you can get to where you want to be next year and beyond. So if you want to have a call with me, it's absolutely complimentary. No strings attached. Type call into the comments or the chat, and I will reach out to you to get you on my schedule. And then also, if you're interested in my visioning event, I'm going to do a visioning retreat like I talked about earlier. It's 2 days long. It's going to be in February in the Sacramento area. So type event into the comments if you're interested in coming to the event. I know it's not all of you will be able to come because some of you are from far away, but if you are interested, definitely reach out to me if you're in the area. Okay, so I am done, and now we're going to have our next speaker. Let me pull up the notes for that. Okay, Jennifer is next. So Jennifer Anderson is next, and she's going to be talking about creating blissful boundaries for the holidays, a very, very important topic for the holiday season, especially. Jen is a compassionate and purpose-driven support coach and accountability expert dedicated to helping women unlock their true potential and live a life of bliss. As the founder of Thankful Hearts Coaching, Jen empowers women to set healthy boundaries, cultivate powerful beliefs, and rediscover their inner strength. Through her programs, including Blissful Besties, I love that, and her signature VIP packages, Jen leads women on a transformative journey of self-discovery, growth, and sustainable success. With her unique equation, belief and boundaries equals bliss, Jen's approach goes beyond goal setting to foster mindset shifts and open new possibilities, creating lasting change for women ready to release stress, self-doubt, and overwhelm. Her mission is to help each client achieve fulfillment, supporting them every step of the way through accountability, insight, and a true commitment to their success. So let me bring on Jen. There you are. And I'm going to pin you. There's Jen.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for letting me be here today. Yes, so I want to talk about boundaries and the holidays. And I did not create a PowerPoint because I kind of changed my mind last minute. So I have a talk that I do that's around boundaries, and I decided to make this more geared towards just the true holidays and do that. So, holidays are a great time of joy and connection, but let's be honest, they can really be stressful and overwhelming, and they can push our boundaries to the limits. So I want you to kind of be thinking while I'm talking, where is a boundary or where is something in your life that comes up maybe year after year, especially during the holidays, that you're like, oh, I could really set a good boundary during this time. And I could really make this so much better for me, make this holiday season better and something that would be great. So as we're talking, I really want you to kind of be thinking about that, because I think that's really important. And so I just want to share with you really quickly my big boundary story, which actually when I did it, I didn't realize I was even setting a boundary. I will tell you, I was 19 years old and I was in college, and I have an older brother who's almost 10 years older than I am, and he's pretty much been an alcoholic my whole life. Like his whole childhood, he would drink, and that's really how I've known him. And so I spent a weekend with him when I was in college and thought I was having a good time, didn't know any better. I've been raised in the Midwest my whole life. Drinking is a big part of everybody's life out here. I very much lumped that all together, but that's kind of how it feels. And we got through the weekend, and it was like a Saturday night, and he decided he was going to go get more alcohol, and I hid his keys from him. And what ended up happening was he picked me up by my shirt and threw me up against a wall and said, "Give me my keys back. You don't get to control me." It was just this whole thing. And so I gave him his keys back. And thankfully, he did not go anywhere. He did end up passing out. And the next day, he didn't remember it. And that was my wake-up call. I decided at that moment that I loved my brother dearly, that I could not save him, and that I would never put myself in that kind of a situation again. I don't know that I was ever in any real danger. I don't think he would have hurt me, but I decided I was never going to stay with him over the course of a weekend again. And that's when I set my boundary. I'm sure I set boundaries before that, but I think that was the real eye-opening boundary that made me go, oh, this is what I have to do. I have to protect myself. And so I tell you that, even though that's not a Christmas story, I tell you that because boundaries are about protecting you. Boundaries are not ever about controlling anyone else. They're always about you and making sure you're getting what you need. And so that was just such an eye-opener for me, and just kind of what changed everything. It kind of made that shift that I was the one that had to protect myself. So I'm hoping that by the time we're done talking today, you will have a few tools and some confidence to be able to say yes to what matters most to you, and to also be able to say no without guilt, because that's a huge. So going back to the holiday theme, most of the time when we think of the holidays, we think of things like overcommitment, too many parties, too many events, too much tradition. There's just too much to juggle. We think, I know Kim touched on this too at the very beginning, we think about family dynamics. We might have difficult relatives or guilt-driven expectations. I know for me, she's kind of an adopted sister, but she tends to come in and bulldoze. She likes everything her way and she's going to change everything. And I tend to get a little, feeling a little overtaken by her. And so I tend to just not put up with that very well. There's also financial strain. There's pressures to overspend on gifts or activities. There's pressures to buy everyone a gift. And then, of course, there's emotional burnt out, which is lack of personal self-care or even personal time. Or as I like to call it, sometimes we turn into volcanoes and we just explode. And so those are like the most common struggles. And that's what we're going to look at. And all of these challenges are real and valid. But the really good news is that you have the power to create a holiday season that reflects your values and priorities. And it really does start with boundaries. So, and Erin touched on this as well, but what do you want to feel and experience this holiday season? So really getting clear and acknowledging what you want to feel and how you want it to look. So it goes right along with the vision board. Like you could do a mini vision board for your holiday season. What do you want it to look like? You could say, I want it to look like spending time with immediate family, and I don't want to have all the extra stuff. It could be a matter of, and this is actually something I did this year, I didn't decorate my whole house. I have a very small corner of my house decorated, my living room, and a little tree up, and that's all I have. Now, I don't have little kids, so I don't have to worry about that. Although I do have little great nieces and nephews that do sometimes come over. But I just decided I wasn't going to stress about putting everything up, because I went and helped my mom put her stuff up because she broke her arm. And so I spent the time I would have done for myself taking care of her. And that was my choice. But instead of stressing myself out to get it all done, I said, you know what? We got this section done. That's all we're doing. And you can also think about how I'm going to stay within a budget and then do it. One thing I like to always point out about boundaries is that boundaries should always be communicated with kindness. Boundaries, I said it just a minute ago, but boundaries are never meant to control people. And so you want your boundaries to be kind and gentle. They can be firm and still be kind. So, like if you have somebody that asks you to do something and you don't really want to do it, a way to do that is to just say, thank you for thinking of me. I've decided to keep my schedule light this year and focus on just family time. So I'm going to pass. But maybe we could do something after the first of the year. You get to decide those things. If it's like gift giving for limits, this year I'm simplifying the holidays and sticking to a budget. Let's set a price limit for gifts or consider doing Secret Santa, where maybe you're not giving gifts to everyone, you're just picking and choosing. You're picking a name out. Excuse me. I am also getting over a sinus infection, and so I still have a little lingering fun going on there. But you don't have to. The other thing I want to really say around that is you don't have to over-explain ever for anything. So If just simply saying no, thank you is what you need to do, that's a complete and full sentence, and use that. You don't ever owe anyone an explanation. You get to decide. This is your life. If you ever have people in your life that are like, but I really want you to come, I really want you to do this, I really want you to be a part of this, those people have a selfish motive, and you don't have to do that. You can just simply say, I said no, I mean no. And you can walk away, especially if they don't let it go. Walk away, end the conversation, whatever you need to do. But you don't have to explain anything to anyone. But on that note, you should expect a little bit of pushback. So what happens when someone doesn't respect your boundary? I like to just prepare a really calm response ahead of time. So if I have somebody that's always pushing my boundaries, I will try to anticipate what they're going to come with next. And so a lot of times I'll just say, I understand this is different from what we've done in the past, but this is the decision that feels right for me. Or I hear you, but I've already made my plans and I can't change them. So looking at the bucket list, going back to Kim's bucket list, like where can you say, I've already, and I love the fact that Kim was saying schedule everything, because once it's scheduled, then you get to decide if you're going to change it or not. So that's where the boundary comes in. It's already scheduled. I don't want to change my schedule. So you don't have to. And I absolutely love that. So we have 10 minutes left. Let's do a quick little visualization exercise. So I would just encourage you all to close your eyes, and I want you to picture your ideal holiday season. What does it look like? Who are you spending time with? How do you feel? Is there anything missing that you'd like to include? What's really going on? What are the words that you're saying? What are the facial expressions that you're seeing? I mean, I'm hoping that everybody's seeing like really happy, joyful times with loved ones, no discontentment, no fighting, that it's all just really beautiful. This vision that you have in your head right now, this is your guide. Is there anywhere in this that you can see something coming up where you may need to set a boundary to make this vision your reality? And if so, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, I would just encourage you to maybe jot that down so that you remember when we're all said and done what that is. So you can come back, you can open your eyes and wiggle your fingers and come back, but what is that boundary that you may need to set? When you set boundaries, you gain more than just peace of mind. You create space for what truly matters. You create space for more joy. You'll definitely feel more present and less overwhelmed. You create better relationships. Clear communication builds trust and respect. Have you ever had someone where they just expect you to assume and know what they're thinking and why they're doing something the way they're doing it? That's because they don't know how to set clear boundaries, and then they get frustrated at you for not respecting their boundaries. We don't want to do that to other people. It just makes it really hard. And then you also have aligned actions. Your holiday aligns with your values and your intentions. So another really good way to know if you need boundaries is to think about your values. What are your core values? And are people, and you especially, like you can set your own boundaries. I set boundaries for myself along with boundaries that affect friends and family. But are they all falling into alignment with your core values? If one of your values is that you're going to give yourself more self-care, and you want more self-care during the holiday season, but you fill up every open time with big events and lots of people, you're breaking your own boundary and you're not living in alignment with what you want. So that's how you realize it. You go, oh, I'm not living up to my core values. So where do I set those boundaries? How do I do that? So your beliefs about the holidays shape how you approach them. If you believe you have to please everyone, you're going to overcommit and you're going to feel drained. But if you believe you deserve a joyful and peaceful holiday, boundaries will help you create it. So I would just encourage you to think about what boundaries you need to set and write them down. And if you need to practice scripts, like if you are someone who struggles to say things in that moment, practice what you will say to those people. I always encourage clients to stand in front of the mirror so they can see themselves eye to eye. That way they get to see reactions, they get to see their own facial expressions, and practice saying those scripts. I used to have a guy I worked with that thought he could just boss me around and he wasn't even remotely my boss. And I finally had to just stand up to him and say, I'm really sorry, but this isn't going to work. If you can't talk to me like a human being, because he was very rude, you don't need to be in my office ever. And I pretty much walked him right out my door. But I had to practice that because he would get me so upset that I would shake and I wouldn't be able to think of it in the moment. So I started doing those practices and different things. So we have a few minutes left. Would anybody like to share anything or ask any questions?
I
Go for it, Lisa.
So I did share in the chat, but from the exercise that you just had me do, I was envisioning the great parties, great friends, great family, people I love, all that. But one vision didn't come up, and that's actually a party that's happening this Saturday. And I am going because it's a dear couple, this friends, and her husband passed in January. So this is a difficult party for her to have. But it's, in my sense, it's difficult because a couple people will be there that I have decided to purge from my life as friends, and they will be there. So I made a decision because of your visualization to go to the party, see the people I love, interact with them, connect with them, and then when I'm done, leave.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
my boundary.
Absolutely. I love that. I actually did that last night at an event. I did not go up to or linger in areas where people who tend to drain my energy, I call them vampires,
Mm-hmm.
where they would be. So yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you
Awesome.
for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, passion.
So I have a tricky one. It has nothing to do with family. It's friends. I moved to a new location 3 years ago and became a member of a group of getting to know other people. So we have gatherings every month or so, and I host different, we all take turns hosting. So I'm doing Christmas, like we have for the last 3 years. And the group has kind of started to kind of go in different directions, right? Like we know we're not going to be friends with everybody. The group was meant to make some friends, see who you connected with, but keep it on. So this year the challenge has been that a lot of people, I'm a I am kind of a like, just tell me if you don't want to be a part of the group anymore. But how do you say that without, like, do you know what I'm saying without saying it? Like I'm the host. I can't be like, get out of my house if you don't want to be here,
Right.
Like there is still some, courtesy and respect and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't want to exclude anyone because it's a group event.
Right. You could put out a really gentle invitation that if there's something that's coming up for you, or like Like if you let them know, so information is the word, invitation and information are the two words that are coming into my head. So if you let them know everything that's going to go on to the best of your ability, like, so you put out the information, say, this is what the party's going to look like. If this doesn't feel like this is a right fit for you, there are never going to be any hard feelings. There are never going to be, this doesn't mean you can't come to the next one. It doesn't mean I'm going to be offended, just in making that really clear. And another thing I've done in the middle of like a party is just, if somebody's upset and they're not, they're kind of being nasty, you can very nicely invite them to leave.
Yeah,
There's
we don't
nothing that
like
makes them stay.
no one's ever nasty. No one's
Good.
ever nasty in the event. It's the outside conversation that happens, right? Like the little bit of
And
sometimes I feel like I'm back in high school. I'm like, are we really doing this at this age?
yes,
Like, why are we doing this? And I'm 50, they're older than me. Like it's not
yes,
younger than me. This is like old,
yes.
right? And so it's just the as tell what you said, yes, except that these parties are whoever can make it can make it. There's not
Okay.
if you can't make it, let me know why. It's just a RSVP, yes or no, if you're coming.
Okay.
But I think what's happening now is it's like, okay, so a couple of people that have said no, they're not coming. I'm curious as to why, and is it because they don't want to be a part of it anymore and they just can't say it? They're just going to say no to everything,
Right.
Or they're
Which
saying
is
no to
fine.
some things and not others, depending on who's hosting. And it's the
Yeah.
catty, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this cattiness in my life right now. Like,
Yeah.
the
And
cattiness I deal with.
something you could try to adopt, because I know we're out of time, but something you could try to adopt is other people's opinions and what's being said outside is none of my business.
Yeah.
And that one I know is hard, but that might be the boundary you set as whatever they say about this party doesn't matter to me. It's none of my business and it's just going to be their thing. And let them own it, because really you don't have to take responsibility for the way anybody else feels ever. So that might be the gentle reminder for you is just, hey, this gets to be theirs. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, well, I will be saying lots of prayers for your party and that it goes really well and that everybody's just really wonderful to you through the whole thing.
No one's ever not wonderful.
Good.
It's all the knowing of what's going on. And there's
Well,
to it, yeah.
here's the other thing you can do really, really quick is if somebody comes back to you and says, oh, so-and-so said this, you can gently stop them and say, I don't really want to hear it. And I do that a lot. I go, you know what? I don't need to know what they said about it.
And I usually come back with, if they'd like to say that, then they should say it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But I stop them before they even say it. I'm like, just don't. And that'll change things too.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for your time. Sorry, I didn't really thank everybody, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jen. That was awesome. And if you have your free gift, go ahead and pop the link in the comments so people can grab that. Thank you so much. And we're going to wrap up, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us the last few minutes when we went a little bit over. That's totally okay. So for everyone here, remember, I'm offering a Confident Woman Visioning call, absolutely complimentary, to help you get to your next level in your vision and confidence, to set you up for an awesome 2025. So type call into the comments if you'd like to grab that. Make sure to grab the free gifts from all the rest of the speakers as well. And if you're interested in coming to my visioning retreat in the new year, type event in the comments and I'll make sure to get you the info. If you enjoyed the call today, we're going to have another one on January 2nd, same time, same place. So make sure to watch your email for that. If you've signed up for this call today, you're already on the list for next month, so you get the information. And please share with other people as well. And until then, we will see you on Facebook. And let me know if you have any questions, everyone. I will reach out to you guys if you wanted a call or the event. And
hey, Erin, one more thing, just in case if people don't know this, if you go to your chat and you touch the 3 little buttons, you can save the chat to your computer.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for letting everybody know that. I know a lot of people don't know that they can do that. So yeah, you can save the chat if you wanted to save questions or the links or anything like that. Jennifer and Kim just put their information back in there again. Thank you, Lana, for putting the Facebook group link in there. Again, everyone, thank you so much for coming today. And we will see everyone hopefully next month and on Facebook. Speakers, make sure to stay here. And everyone else, if you could log off, that would be great. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season. Stop.